joined here in the studio by James Creedon. Good evening to you, James.
Evening, Tom.
We've been talking a lot about the Winter Games there in Sochi, and Western journalists somehow critical of the preparations, and there's been quite a lot of cynicism, I think it's fair to say, out there in the world media. Tell us how that comes across online.
For the last week, really, there have been a number of articles that I've come across online collating tweets from journalists who were arriving in Sochi in the days ahead of the Olympic Games. And I'll show you some of those tweets on the computer now. What you see is all sorts of cynical details, such as the cobble block here not being quite ready, the hotels not being finished or completed in terms of the wiring or in terms of the toilets. Some people complaining that there were images of Vladimir Putin in the hotel rooms. And it even led to some satire on the New Yorker's Borovitz report. Sochi hotel guests complain about topless portraits of Putin in the rooms. And indeed, the article went on to say that Tracy Clugian, who travelled from Ohio, said she was appalled to find his hotel room dominated by a gigantic portrait of a shirtless Putin riding what appears to be a bear. So, I mean, there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek, even references, I think homoerotic references, basically, referencing articles such as that it came out long before the Sochi Games. You know, Putin, who quite likes to display himself, topless with various sort of farm animals or wild animals in a bid to look like the tough guy, right? So you see, all of this feeds into as well the activism that has surrounded the Sochi Games by gay rights activists because of a recent law that was passed banning homosexual propaganda, right? Very loosely termed. And it has been used to clamp down on any demonstrations publicly of homosexuality. So there you go, Tom. It is... It's one of those things. I mean, images such as this as well have been doing the rounds of social media, not just in the last week or so. That is Russia's riot police, the so-called OMON. In the Cyrillic alphabet, the H there at the end is pronounced as an N. And indeed, in a mirror, it comes out as something else. So look, it's not new that Russia is criticised online for its very, I suppose, strict approach to homosexuality and this new law. But certainly, Sochi has been a sort of a flashpoint.
Okay, and a number of brands, in particular media brands, lending their support to activists. Tell us more about this.
That's right. Well, in particular in the UK, if I can find my place here, you can see, well, for example, I think perhaps being inspired by images such as that, that's the Sochi logo in the rainbow colours. A lot of media outlets, in particular in the UK, that's Channel 4, have changed their colours. Google as well.
I saw that when I got up this morning.
That's right. And The Guardian changed the G to become, I suppose, the Guardian for a day, you could say. And so all of this comes in a week or so where you've seen videos, for example, this video which was released in Sweden, where I think they gathered, about 2,000 people gathered in a former Olympic stadium singing the Russian national anthem, all in the name of LGBT families' rights, etc. And then you had another video coming out of Canada showing a bobsleigh team in rather, what would you say, friendly pose. The games have always been a little gay, etc. So look, it's been, I suppose they're delivering it thick and heavy, these sort of messages. There was also a Finnish Olympian who came out publicly in the last week, and he chose the timing of that to draw attention to the Sochi Games. And there's been all of that is a little bit frivolous, I suppose you could say. It's about gathering headlines. But for example, GQ magazine did an 11-page report inside Russia, getting up close and personal with activists, but also far-right groups that with a large degree of impunity have been going out seeking to find homosexuals online, etc., and gay bashing, with the authorities doing little or nothing about it. So I suppose there is a serious side to all of this. It has been a flashpoint, but serious reports such as that show that there is a degree of legitimacy in people drawing attention to this issue.
So we've got videos, logos, some interesting photos, but also one official team outfit has created quite a stir.
That's right, the German official team outfit as they paraded out in the stadium today. A lot of people making the point that it looked pretty much like a rainbow flag, and I think that was probably done on purpose. The French were actually a lot more sober, as you can see here, in a Lacoste-designed grey outfit. I think the Norwegians get the worst dressed gong. That was their curling team. And just to finish with, there was one detail that did get an awful lot of attention today. Robert Parsons mentioned it earlier. One of the rings in the Olympic logo didn't open up. Now, at the top right ring, which is traditionally the red ring, is actually it historically represented the American continent, right, north and south. So some people have been either criticizing that, saying, you know, it's another example of, well, actually, this is the Sochi official page, and they didn't make any reference to it at all, as you can see. But others saying that they couldn't get it right, another example of shambolic organizations. But the cynics saying that it was a nod to America and probably something that Putin might have even wanted. I'm not sure how true or credible that is, but lots of speculation, Tom.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, James Creedon. Thank you for that. Well, it's time now for Focus here on France 24. Today we're going